Welcome back, soap fans, to another spectacular day of shocking twists and turns in the daytime television world. We have a massive, explosive update today that will leave you absolutely breathless. The Mediterranean sun is shining brightly over the glittering, picturesque coast of Monaco, but inside a luxury Forrester apartment, the atmosphere has just turned ice-cold and violently dark. A marriage has just been shattered into a million irreparable pieces. The echo of a heavy wedding ring bouncing off a chest and hitting the expensive marble floor is still ringing in the tense, suffocating air. Steffy Forrester Finnegan has fled. She has run out the heavy oak doors, heartbroken, traumatized, and feral with an untamed rage. Left behind in the deafening silence of the lavish suite is John Finnegan, a man who has just watched his entire world collapse in real time because of one catastrophic, unforgivable lie of omission. But Finn does not have time to mourn. He does not have time to process the devastating loss of his furious wife, because the door to the luxury apartment is about to swing open again. An absolute hell is about to walk right through it in the form of a violently protective father. Ridge Forrester storms into the luxury apartment, his tailored designer suit doing absolutely nothing to hide the lethal, coiled tension radiating from every single muscle in his body. He is looking for his daughter. He is looking for Steffy. Instead, he finds Finn, standing paralyzed and broken in the center of the massive room, staring blankly at a discarded wedding ring glittering on the floor. The air in the room instantly grows thick, heavy, and completely suffocating. Ridge's sharp, predatory eyes dart around the empty, cavernous space, immediately registering the missing luggage, the open balcony doors, and the sheer unadulterated panic painted across his son-in-law's pale, sweating face. Ridge demands to know where Steffy is. His voice is a low, dangerous rumble, a terrifying warning tremor before a massive apocalyptic earthquake. Finn, stumbling over his own words, choking on his overwhelming guilt, makes the fatal mistake of telling the absolute truth. He stammers out the horrifying reality. Sheila is in Monaco, and Finn actively kept it a secret. The physical and emotional transformation in Ridge Forrester is instantaneous and absolutely terrifying to witness. The exact moment the name Sheila leaves Finn's trembling mouth, the temperature in the luxury suite drops below freezing, only to ignite into a blazing, uncontrollable inferno a fraction of a second later. Ridge's eyes snap wide open, the dark irises dilating, the whites immediately flashing with a feral, bloodshot red that screams of pure violence. This is not just standard anger. This is the primal, unfiltered, uncontrollable rage of a father who suddenly realizes his daughter has been placed directly in the crosshairs of a psychopathic killer. And the man who put her there is the very husband who swore an oath before God to protect her. Ridge does not ask for a calm explanation. He does not ask for context or reasoning. He completely bypasses logic, diplomacy, and conversation, going straight for the proverbial throat with lethal intent. The roar that rips from Ridge's chest is deafening, shaking the very walls of the luxury Monte Carlo suite. Ridge lunges across the room like a predator unleashed. There is absolutely no hesitation, no holding back, no mercy in his movements. He crosses the expensive, hand-woven rug in a fraction of a second, his large hands closing into tight, violent fists. He grabs Finn by the collar of his expensive shirt, the premium fabric audibly tearing under the sheer, brutal force of Ridge's iron grip, and slams the younger man violently backward. Finn hits the solid wall with a sickening heavy thud, the brutal impact rattling the expensive framed artwork hanging nearby. Ridge is entirely in his face, his breath hot and heavy, his red eyes burning with a hatred so pure, so unfiltered, and so toxic that it is completely blinding. Finn raises his hands in a pathetic defensive gesture, but he is completely paralyzed by the sheer magnitude of Ridge's explosive wrath. Ridge shoves him again, pinning him mercilessly against the wall, his knuckles digging painfully into Finn's chest, right where Steffy's discarded wedding ring had bounced off just moments before. "You cowardly traitor!" Ridge screams, the venomous words exploding from his mouth like deadly shrapnel. The vicious accusation hangs in the heavy air, absolute and unforgiving. Ridge does not see a respected doctor standing before him. He does not see a loving husband or a devoted father. He sees a weak, spineless, pathetic pawn who has betrayed the most sacred vow a man can possibly make. To Ridge Forrester, hiding Sheila's presence is not just a foolish mistake. It is an act of supreme, unforgivable treason against the entire Forrester family. He spits the harsh words directly at Finn, making absolutely sure every single syllable cuts deep into the younger man's fragile psyche. Ridge violently reminds Finn of the dark alleyway. He screams about the blood, the bullets, the sheer paralyzing terror of watching Steffy fight for her fragile life in a sterile hospital bed because of the deranged monster who gave birth to him. And now this cowardly traitor has invited that exact same monster right back into their lives, hiding her in the glamorous shadows of Monte Carlo. Ridge does not stop there. The verbal barrage accelerates, transforming into a rapid-fire, psychological assault designed to completely dismantle whatever is left of Finn's shattered pride. "You are nothing but a puppet," Ridge roars, his booming voice cracking with the sheer, unbridled intensity of his fury. A pathetic, weak-minded puppet dancing on Sheila's 6 strings. Ridge aggressively accuses Finn of being completely manipulated, of falling hook, line, and sinker for the exact same twisted, psychotic game Sheila has been playing for decades. He paints Finn as a weak, desperate fool. A man so pathetically desperate for his psychotic mommy's approval that he would willingly sacrifice his own wife's sanity, safety, and peace of mind just to get it. The brutal insult is expertly designed to hit Finn where it hurts the absolute most, stripping away his autonomy and reducing him to a mere dangerous extension of Sheila's evil, blood-soaked legacy. Finn tries to desperately shake his head, tries to form a pathetic defense, but Ridge's relentless booming screaming drowns out any excuse Finn can possibly muster. Then comes the ultimate devastating blow. The specific insult that completely shatters whatever is left of Finn's crumbling resolve. Ridge steps even closer, his nose almost touching Finn's, his bloodshot, red eyes boring directly into Finn's terrified soul. "It's your blood," Ridge snarls, his voice dropping to a venomous, disgusted, lethal whisper that is somehow infinitely louder than a shout. "That toxic poison blood running through your veins. It has completely tainted your judgment." Ridge ruthlessly weaponizes Finn's genetics against him. He confirms Finn's deepest, darkest, most paralyzing fear. That he is and always will be a dangerous product of Sheila. Ridge tells him that no matter how many lives he saves as a brilliant doctor, no matter how much he claims to deeply love Steffy, he is fundamentally biologically broken. The toxic, corrupted DNA of a serial psychopath has finally overridden his morality, blinding him to the obvious danger, and making him completely complicit in his mother's sick, twisted obsession with their family. The harsh words land like heavy, physical blows to the stomach. Finn physically recoils, his handsome face draining of all color, his eyes wide with a horrific, sickening realization. He has spent years desperately trying to separate himself from the monster who birthed him, constantly trying to prove to the Forresters, to Steffy, and to himself that he is a genuinely good man. But in one catastrophic, monumental moment of weakness, one stupid, naive, arrogant decision to keep a massive secret, he has completely validated every single fear Ridge ever harbored about him. The toxic blood accusation breaks him entirely. He stops struggling against Ridge's violent grip. He slumps against the wall, a broken, defeated, hollow man, drowning in the sudden, undeniable reality of his own massive, epic failure. He knows deep down in his core that Ridge is absolutely right. He hid the monster. He brought the lethal danger directly to their doorstep. He is the reason his wife is currently fleeing in sheer terror. The violent, screaming commotion is far too loud to ignore. The heavy door to the luxury suite bursts open, and Brooke Logan Forrester rushes in, her eyes widening in absolute, paralyzing horror at the violent scene unfolding before her. She sees her husband, a man pushed to the absolute, dangerous brink of sanity, pinning his son-in-law against the wall, looking completely ready to tear him apart limb from limb. Brooke does not hesitate for a single second. She sprints across the massive room, her designer heels clicking frantically against the cold marble floor. She throws herself directly into the dangerous fray, her hands grabbing desperately onto Ridge's massive, tense shoulders, frantically trying to pull him back from the edge of committing a crime. "Ridge, stop. Stop it right now," she screams, her voice filled with a frantic mixture of panic, fear, and desperation. The physical struggle is incredibly intense. Ridge is a man completely possessed, fueled by pure adrenaline and protective, fatherly rage, and Brooke has to use every single ounce of her physical strength to wedge herself between the two large men. Brooke firmly plants her feet, her hands pressing hard against Ridge's heaving chest, physically shoving him backward with all her might. Ridge aggressively fights against her hold, his red eyes still locked dead onto Finn, his chest heaving with heavy, ragged, furious breaths. "Let me go, Brooke. Look at what he did. Look at what this pathetic coward did to my daughter." Ridge bellows at the top of his lungs, trying to reach around his desperate wife to get his hands back on Finn's torn collar. But Brooke holds her ground firmly. She is already dealing with her own massive, devastating emotional trauma from Fanny Grayson's recent, internationally destructive bombshell, her nerves already frayed to the absolute breaking point. But she channels all of her remaining, frantic energy into stopping her husband from committing a violent act he cannot ever take back. She grabs Ridge's face, forcing him to look directly at her, her voice cutting sharply through the red, bloody haze of his blinding anger. "Ridge, enough. This isn't helping Steffy. This isn't helping anyone." Ridge finally stops fighting Brooke's desperate physical restraint, but his verbal assault reaches its absolute, devastating peak. He points a trembling, furious, accusatory finger directly at Finn's pale face, his voice echoing with absolute, terrifying finality. "You never deserved her." Ridge spits, the harsh words dripping with pure, unadulterated, toxic contempt. "You never deserved my daughter. You never deserved the Forrester name." Ridge officially declares that the marriage is completely over in his eyes. He does not care about legal documents, signed papers, or sacred vows made at an altar. As far as Ridge Forrester is concerned, the exact moment Finn chose to protect Sheila over Steffy, he permanently forfeited his right to be a husband. Ridge makes a fierce, unbreakable, terrifying vow right then and there in the middle of the room. He swears on his life, on his company, and on the entire Forrester legacy, that he will personally stand between Finn and Steffy forever. He will build an impenetrable fortress around his traumatized daughter, and Finn will never, ever be allowed inside again. "I will banish you from this family forever," Ridge threatens, his voice dropping to a low, lethal, chilling promise that instantly freezes the room. "If you ever come near her again, if you ever try to bring that psychopath's toxic blood back into my daughter's life, I will destroy you, Finn. I will wipe you off the map." The threat is absolutely not an idle one. Ridge Forrester has the immense power, the limitless money, and the ruthless, cold-blooded determination to make good on every single word he just spoke. He is officially excommunicating John Finnegan from the Forrester clan. The protective, vengeful father has taken complete control of the narrative, and he is violently slamming the door shut on any possibility of future redemption. Finn is no longer considered family. He is a massive liability. He is the ultimate enemy. And Ridge Forrester treats his enemies with absolute, merciless, total destruction. Brooke manages to physically push Ridge toward the door, her hand still firmly planted on his chest, steering the raging, furious patriarch away from the broken, weeping man slumped against the wall. Ridge keeps his red, hateful eyes locked on Finn until the very last possible second, delivering a final silent promise of absolute war, before Brooke finally shoves him out into the hallway and slams the heavy door shut behind them. The loud, echoing slam reverberates through the luxury apartment, a harsh, definitive, brutal punctuation marked to the most violent, destructive confrontation of Finn's entire life. The silence that immediately follows is absolutely deafening. It is heavy, oppressive, and completely filled with the haunting ghosts of a shattered, ruined future. Finn slides slowly down the expensive wallpaper, his legs completely giving out beneath him, until he is sitting on the cold marble floor, burying his face in his trembling hands. The horrifying reality of the situation crashes down on Finn with the unstoppable force of a massive tidal wave. Steffy is gone. She is currently somewhere over the ocean, traumatized, furious, and completely alienated from the man she loved. And now, the powerful patriarch of the Forrester family has officially declared a scorched earth war on him. Finn is completely, utterly isolated. He has lost his beautiful wife, he has lost his entire extended family, and he has lost his personal honor. And the sickest, most twisted, agonizing part of it all? The only person left in Monaco who claims to genuinely care about him is the exact same monster who caused this entire, apocalyptic nightmare. Sheila is out there right now, lurking in the glamorous shadows, waiting patiently to pick up the broken pieces of the life she just successfully destroyed. Finn realizes with a sickening, paralyzing jolt of horror that Ridge was absolutely right. He played right into Sheila's psychotic hands, and he handed her the ultimate victory on a silver platter. As Finn sits weeping in the complete wreckage of his marriage, the stakes for the future have never been higher or more dangerous. Steffy is flying back to Los Angeles, a woman pushed to the absolute ragged edge, carrying a fiery fury that will shake the very foundations of the Forrester empire. But she is flying back to a home that is about to explode in an entirely different way. Taylor Hayes is currently facing a life-changing marriage proposal from Deacon Sharp, Sheila's former husband. The catastrophic collision course is officially set. When Steffy finally lands, she will not only have to deal with the severe trauma of Finn's betrayal, but she will walk straight into a mother who is aligning herself with the very dangerous orbit of Sheila. The apocalyptic, all-out family battle is rapidly brewing, and Ridge's violent, feral declaration in Monaco is just the opening salvo of a war that will leave no survivors. The sheer, terrifying magnitude of Ridge's explosion cannot be overstated. This was not a simple passing disagreement. This was a fundamental, violent tearing of the fabric that held the Forrester and Finnegan families together. Ridge's red, bloodshot eyes told a tragic story of decades of severe trauma inflicted by Sheila, trauma that Finn was supposed to heal, not actively replicate. By hiding Sheila, Finn became a willing accomplice to that trauma. Every single time Sheila has appeared, someone in Ridge's family has bled. Brooke has bled. Taylor has bled. Steffy has bled. And Ridge, the ultimate protector, the man who defines himself by his ability to shield his loved ones, was completely blindsided because he foolishly trusted the doctor. He trusted the husband. That sacred trust is now nothing but a pile of worthless ash on the floor of a Monte Carlo suite. Even Brooke, as she drags Ridge away down the hallway, is trembling uncontrollably. She had to summon a physical and emotional strength she barely possessed to stop the bloodshed. She is already reeling from Fanny Grayson's bombshell, the horrifying realization that Katie Logan is systematically dismantling her international fashion connections. Brooke's world is spinning out of control, yet she had to be the strong anchor in a room that was violently tearing itself apart. She looks at Ridge, seeing a man she deeply loves consumed by a dark, violent vengeance she hasn't seen in years. Brooke knows that Ridge's vow to banish Finn is not a temporary flare-up of temper. It is a permanent, seismic shift in the Forrester dynamic. Brooke herself knows the extreme danger of Sheila, and while she physically stopped Ridge from committing violence, she fully supports the emotional execution he just performed on John Finnegan.